Hello, my name is Devin Nodland. I'm part of I'm doing the ring lapping lab. And so anyways, let's get started with this. So first things first is I've got to mount the optic, or mount the rings. Actually, first things first, I already did it. You can see by the flag here, but I'll do it again just to make sure, take this off here. Weapons on safe. No ammo physically in the chamber or receiver. I check that both physically and visually. It is a little dirty. That's okay. Get that back on there. Okay, good. Okay, so we're back in. Safe and clear. Workstation has no ammunition on it. So let's get back to installing my rings here. All right, so first things first, you got to make sure the rings are in the right spot to make sure that they'll work. I'm pretty certain these are going to be similar to most of my other rings. Of course, assuming I don't accidentally screw this all the way off. There we go. Made in China, really, SDI? So I'm just going to kind of loosely put that one on there and see if I can get this to line up. Which normally I want my base of my scope to be just off my spot there. I'm gonna actually move this up one more little spot. So it'll be in between T4 and T6 here. I don't want it so close to the controls that it binds up, which looks good right there. All right, which means my front ring is gonna be all the way to the front. Normally, let's see here, that's about perfect. So I'm just going to tighten these down pretty good. Normally I torque these down to about 60 inch-pounds. I'm just going to kind of do it by feel right here. There we go. That's good. All right, so first things first, we'll put our top pieces on loosely. And we're going to install the alignment tool and see how our alignment first looks. I'm hoping that we have pretty good alignment at the gate. These are, what are these? Weavers, Vortex mounts. Okay, so decent Vortex mounts. So I'm hoping that these shouldn't be an issue. And since I know I'm already going to be lapping, I'm going to mark these a little bit. Phone's recording. Okay. So I'm going to mark this with an F for front, R for rear, and then I'm putting an arrow towards the screws on the left-hand side of my rifle. So that way when these come off, when I do mount the scope, it'll be in okay shape. First things first, we're going to check our alignment here. So I'm just going to get these in, tighten them down a little bit, and we're going to see how these things are aligned to each other. I have better tools for this. I could be using one of those instead of doing this by hand, but it's okay. So I'm just getting these hand tight, so there's no play in them. Look good there. Let's do the same thing, other side. I can already tell these are going to be really close. Oops. Oh, but they might be a little bit off. Loosen that just a smidge. Okay, they're nice and snug as a bug. You can kind of see, I'll take you for a little walk here. You can kind of see they are, don't judge me. They are just a smidge off. Come on, focus. There you go. Just barely though. Just barely. Let's get you back in here. So, maybe we're gonna back this guy out. Apply some lapping compound to the insides of these rings. Beautiful hot Texas day. I apologize that this assignment is so late, but I've been traveling for the last 2 weeks and they don't exactly let you carry firearms where I was going. So, not ideal. Not ideal. Okay, so you can do this with the rings on or off. I've lapped plenty of these in the past, but the idea is just get a good thick coat of lapping compound all the way on the inside. I should have mentioned that I've already cleaned these rings. Sometimes rings come with a little bit of oil on them, so I just use some acetone cleaner to kind of clean them off a little bit. I'm gonna get a good chunk of this stuff on the inside here. It doesn't have to be perfect, you just have to get enough of it in there. Good part about lapping compound is it kind of wears itself down to finer grits over time. You don't really have to purchase the thinner grits unless you really want to get specific. Okay. So, now we got our lapping bar. So again, I'm going to just tighten these down a little bit. I don't want them so tight they're grabbing, but I want them just to have a little bit of pressure. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. We're going to start by hand. See what kind of progress we make, and we may advance to power tools, depending. Oh, maybe it's a little bit tight. Let's loosen that a little. Okay. And I always recommend, no matter how you do this, you always start by hand. A couple different reasons. One is you go hook a screwdriver onto this, and you got too tight of a grip. You're going to try to bend your receiver. So that's perfect. And so all I'm doing, kind of back and forward motion like this. And then you tighten that just a little bit. I see just a little bit of play. Said I want a little bit of a bite. I just don't want it so hard that I can't move it. Really shouldn't take a whole bunch. If you're doing a lot, you can hook up a power tool to this guy. What we'll do this for a couple minutes. I'm just basically kind of pushing and pulling and rotating at the same time. I can already feel it starting to loosen, which a little bit of that is the lapping compound being pushed out. Some of that should hopefully be some material removal that's happening right now. See that? Getting pretty loose. Okay, so let's slide this guy out. We're going to see how we're looking. Might have gone a little faster. Okay, let's loosen you a little more. So got that set to the side. Should have continued to wear gloves, but I think we're pretty close to done. So let's take off this front one, see how we're looking. The idea is these are black anodized. Basically, once you have most of the anodization removed, about 90% of it, if you saw a little bit in there, it'd be fine. But you should hopefully catch the high and the low spots. Our low spots should still be dark metal. Let's take a gander here. Our high spots should be chrome finish. Yeah, okay. We still got a ways to go. We maybe have a long ways to go. But you can kind of see, really, where the high spots are on this guy. So we may speed this up for video's sake. Yep. And so you can kind of see there you're starting to get the bare metal right here. It means that this is probably not a perfectly concentric ring. So I'm going to reinstall this, keep my lapping bar back in there with some lapping compound, and we're going to go after this a little bit more high speed. Try to accelerate this a little bit. Kevin. I guess I really need one finger. Generous application. Get this thing all covered up. Got quite a bit in there. Still quite a bit on the bar. Too tight. Letter. Okay. So power tool application, or machine shop application, I guess, depending on how you wanted to do it. sneaky fast way. So everything's in, kind of lined up. Now don't just put your drill in. And all I'm doing is just slow. Steady turns here. Oh, where'd I put it? Just gotta tighten it just a little. Not a bunch. Okay. Okay. Now, let's see how that looks. I bet you that got us the rest of the way. Don't forget to clean your lapping compound off. You can leave a little bit of clamping compound on the scope rings to help get a good bite on the scope ring when you install. Let's see. But it is absolutely not necessary. Your scope has a little bit of an anodized finish. It should grab on nicely anyways. 17 minutes. Ding. I can see sparkly metal. There we go. Let's see, here's your high spots and your low spots, which I kind of figured as much. That's the exact angle that this was off by, and so it started to remove a pretty good chunk of the finish. Oh yeah, there we go. Look at that. Look at that beauty. So now you can kind of see. Let's see if I can do this without my phone falling off again. There we go. And so you could keep going if you wanted to. The idea is not to remove so much, but basically we would do that. Let's get the get that other ring off real quick. We'll check our alignment, but I'd be willing to bet we're a lot closer. We'll be able to mount up our scope. From there. See, this front ring was pretty close to perfect, so I got pretty even wear. It was the back ring that was off just a smidge. Yep, same thing here. So almost perfectly even wear, which makes sense. I mean, these things were so close. You could have mounted the scope and probably been just fine. So I'm going to check the alignment one more time. I think we should be good to mount. our scope. And I don't think the scope mounting the scope is a problem. I mean, you could go all the way until you're basically bare metal if you wanted to get real tight on it. There's no need. You know, the picture in the book, I mean, that is just bare aluminum. They took all of the anodization off of that, which, more the merrier, I guess. And that looks perfect. Tips are almost touching. I mean, they are touching if I were to push them together. Thanks, huh? All right, that's my lab. Thanks so much.